is just as important. And you know, there's some wonderful, wonderful wine charms on the market, and I'm going to share with you how we present this on our wine glasses. So at the very, very end, not only should you have the proper cookware, the proper ingredients, but also what about the right wine glass, and of course the little wine charms, and we'll talk about that a little later. So let's get started. Angelina's Zydeco Creole cooking. First thing you want to do is start off with a little butter, and to this I'm going to make a little light roux. Keep in mind that when you're making an etouffee, it means smothered in a rich, rich gravy. It could be a brown gravy, a reddish brown gravy. So what I want to do is melt some butter, depending on how much shrimp I have, and of course you will receive a cook booklet with this, with the ingredients, okay? You melt your butter, you get it pretty hot, and to this butter, you're now going to make a little roux. You don't want to make a thick roux because this is etouffee, it's not a gumbo, so you want to add a little white flour to that, very little. And this is a a roux mix that I made up already. Add that. Now watch this. See? Look at how beautiful that looks. And I might want to add a little more butter to that. I'm making a big mess here. Okay. So what you've done so far is melted butter and flour. And some people like to use a little tomato paste, okay? But some of the mixes that you find on the market already have that rich flavor already working for you. See how pretty that looks right there? I'm gonna add a little more. See? These are all my seasonings. Continue. And this is really a quick, easy etouffee. Remember, etouffee means smothered in a rich brown gravy. You can use a whisk if you'd like. You can use a spoon. I like using these wonderful, wonderful wire whisks. Now look at how pretty that looks. Now, that's a very, very important step to making shrimp etouffee. Now, what we're going to do next is add our Trinity. And remember, Creoles cook with the Trinity: onions, celery, and bell pepper. So we're going to add a little bit of the Trinity to this mixture. Okay? And we're going to saute the Trinity in there. This is a real nice dish for guests that are coming over unexpected. You can make this real quickly. So now we've added our Trinity, and I've got my fire up a little high. So I need to cut it down a little bit. Okay? Now I'm going to add little pieces of garlic. And of course you would already have this chopped up. But you add your garlic sort of like in the middle. You don't add your garlic with the Trinity immediately. This is a very important step as well, okay? Now, this is the beginning stages of making that etouffee. We always talk about a stock water. What is a stock water? I basically use the shells of the shrimp, and I boil them down with a bay leaf, with some red peppercorns, some celery, and I basically boiled it down, and I'm going to add that water, which is very important, and I'm going to add that water to this mixture. Okay? And I'm going to just sort of let this cook down, sort of give it a vigorous whirl here. And I know it looks real thin, and if you think it looks too thin, you're going to let this cook down a little more, and you're going to see how pretty it looks in the end. So this is the beginning stages of making a great etouffee. Keep in mind, this is the beginning stages. Now, we've not seasoned. So I'm going to add a bay leaf for my own Creole seasoning. I should say my mom's Creole seasoning mix. Add that. Okay. And I might even add a little more of the Trinity here, just a tad. And at the very, very end, I'm going to add my green onions and my parsley. This is the beginning stages of making shrimp, or you could make a crawfish etouffee. Another little secret that you might want to consider when making this dish is using a little sugar, and we'll talk about that a little later. But here is the beginning stages of making shrimp etouffee, and I'm going to let that just cook down a little bit, and I would say let this broth cook for about a good 30 minutes, okay? You want it to thicken. You know, Creole food is anytime. Gumbo is anytime. You know, this is some of the comfort food that I was raised on in Louisiana. And certainly as I travel around the country, I've lived everywhere from Guam to Hawaii, I always craved my good old meals that my mom used to prepare. This is a shrimp etouffee that we're making today. And basically what we did, we made a light roux, and you don't want to make it as dark like you're making a gumbo. You want to make it sort of a reddish-brown color. Now, my sister, she likes to use a little tomato paste to make it a little redder, but that's your choice. So